Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to the very first session for Azure Developer Stories 2021. So, this is the first time we are having a meetup under the banner of Azure Developer Stories, and today we have exciting sessions lined up for all of you. So, yeah, before we get started, I would like to show you what are the things we have planned for you today. So let me just share my screen. All right. Okay, so as I mentioned, this session is under Azure Developer Stories 2021. So this is the version 2 of Azure Developer Stories. Last year, 2020, we had the version 1. And what is this Azure Developer Story? Let me show you. So basically, we want to encourage developers to share their experiences on various technologies on Azure by writing a blog or creating a video content and sharing with us. So how does it start? So this is the roadmap we have for you. So just in case if you are not very much experienced with Azure and you are looking for an opportunity to learn and upskill yourself, then we have a challenge called Azure Developer Challenge. So this is Azure Developer Challenge. How does it work? You don't have to scrap your head. You just need to register for this challenge, and what we'll do is we will be sharing some learn collection links with you. So there are three different categories. What are those? So the categories are Python on Azure, Node.js on Azure, .NET on Azure. So these are very similar to what we have for Azure Developer Stories. So if you are looking to participate in Python on Azure and before that you want to upskill yourself on Python on Azure, then you just need to register for Azure Developer Challenge, and we'll be sharing the links with you, and it's totally up to you that whichever the learn collection you want to complete. So as I mentioned, this is how the whole process works. You'll have to register for the challenge first. After registering, we'll be sharing the learn collections with you. You have to complete them. Once you complete them, you will be obviously upskill in that particular domain. And after completing, what do you get? You get a chance to win Azure credits worth $100, and you might also get a chance to get swag pack. So the top 150 professionals will be getting Azure credits, and we have swags for you as well. So this contest is specifically meant for professionals, but also to encourage student developers to upskill. We are allowing students as well to participate in this challenge. So I would request you to go through this website. So we'll be sharing this link in the chat box so that you can go through it. So just coming back. So once you get upskilled after completing the Azure Developer Challenge, then you can share your experiences as a form of a blog or a video content and share with us. Also, to help you upskill, we have some samples as well, like how to do that. You might be wondering how my blog should look like, or what are the things I should have for my blog or my video content. So there are various samples. So you can go through these samples. We have for different categories, like for Python on Azure, for Node.js on Azure, and for .NET on Azure. So we have samples for blogs as well as for video content. So this link for the website also will be sharing with you in the chat box. And after you write or complete your blog, you can share with us. So you can find all the details. Also, to help you get started with some of these specific themes, we are organizing these meetups. So today's meetup is part of Azure Developer Stories. So today's theme is Python on Azure. Since we have one of the categories to submit for Azure Developer Stories is Python on Azure, so we wanted people to learn like what are the things do we have for submitting Python on Azure. So we have an expert, Dhilipsiva, who will be the speaker for us today. Let me bring him on stage. Hello, Dhilip.
Hi, hello Rohit.
So good morning. Hope you are doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you. Hope you guys are all doing well as well. So,
Yes. So we are live now, and we'll be starting with your session. So I'll put your this screen on stream, and
yeah,
you can get started by giving an introduction about yourself, like what you are doing, and what is today's session going to be. And we are
yeah,
good.
sure.
All right.
So yeah. So to tell you guys a little about myself, I have about 10 years of experience in Python, JavaScript, DevOps, and more. I'm a jack of all trades, but master of none. I like wearing different hats. I'm an optimistic nihilist, and astrophysics is something lately that I've developed a passion for. And I love science, Python, open source and whatnot. I have two kids. I'm an environmentalist, and I play a lot of games. So that's pretty much about it. And if you want to sort of get in touch with me, you can write an email to the email that you see over here. And the topic that we are going to talk about today is how to run your Python code on Azure Functions. And I would, so before going any further, I would like to thank Confab for setting this thing up and giving me an opportunity to talk about it. So thank you guys. So without further ado, let's just jump into this thing. And before that, there's a standard disclaimer. I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's a standard disclaimer just that I put on all the other, in any of the talks that slides that that you go through. I'll always put this thing because I'm a jack of all trades. I don't have, enough depth in any of the things, and maybe except for Python. I have enough depth in Python. You can ask me some complex things in Python and I could still answer, but not in most of the other things. So let's get started with Azure Functions. So Azure Functions, if you don't know, if you've never explored Azure Functions before, it's an event-driven serverless compute platform. And what do we mean by that? Is that so first of all, serverless. Although most people know, although 90% of the people know what serverless means, there is always this 10% of people that I find who seem to get the who seem to get the term wrong. Serverless doesn't mean that you don't have any servers running. Obviously, you need servers to run your code. Serverless simply means that you don't have the headache of managing the servers. You just simply tell Azure what Python code to run, and Azure takes the responsibility of running the code when a request arrives, or scaling the code when you start seeing more traffic. So that's basically what serverless means. It's just that you don't have any orchestration or management headaches in regards to infrastructure. And so this is an event-driven, like I said, this is an event-driven compute platform. And so there are different events that can trigger your code. So for example, an HTTP request could trigger your code, or some events on your Azure platform, like putting an object on the storage, on the Azure storage, might trigger an event which will trigger your code. And there is also time-based triggers, as in, say, if you want to run a piece of code as a cron job, you could specify that it is a time-based trigger, and you could probably say, hey, how frequently you would want to run your code. You can say, hey, run it every hour, or run it on this time of this particular day. So you can define all those things. So these are all the events. And these events drive your code, right? And it's an on-demand service. So in regular compute, in other compute service, in sort of like server-based compute offerings, right, that Azure provides, like you could get a compute server, and you could manually provision yourself, and you run things on that resource. So those sort of things are not on demand, as in you'll have to set it up beforehand. You'll have to take into the account how much traffic you might get, and you might have to set up required number of servers, taking into account on how much ever traffic you might receive. But this is an on-demand service, which means there's no you don't have to configure your resources beforehand. As in when a request comes in, the resources will be allocated automatically, and it provides a continually updated infrastructure. One of the advantages of going to serverless platforms is that you don't have to take care of your infrastructure, right? If you're say running your own Kubernetes cluster or something, then the problem is you might have to apply your security patches for your OS, or if there are any updates, you'll have to update it. If some of the nodes are not doing well, you'll have to bring it down and bring new nodes up. Of course, you can always automate it, but it doesn't take away the fact that you still have to provision and configure it yourself. But Azure Functions, as I mentioned, it provides a continually updated infrastructure where they do everything behind the background. If some nodes are down, they take care of bringing it down and putting your code on some other instance, on healthy instance. So that those are some things that you don't have to worry about. And the types of places that you can use this Azure Functions is, you can so to start with, you can build web APIs. In the web APIs, you also have Swagger integration, and now these days it is called Open API dashboard. So on Azure Functions, you can also have an Open API interface. It's easy to integrate with Open API. And you can respond to database changes. So you have SQL databases and NoSQL databases offerings from Azure. So you could choose to invoke a particular piece of code. Maybe when a row is getting updated, maybe you want to notify all the users, by sending them an email. You could certainly do that whenever something whenever a table changes in your database. You could make specific Azure functions to trigger. So that is something that you can do. Or you can process the IoT streams. The IoT devices, they often tend to send streams of data. They continually send you streams of data, which is sort of like which is a regular use case for any IoT device. So you could process those streams with Lambda, and you could manage the message queues. You don't have to do things in a central fashion. You could just put your messages on queues and sort of like do it in a distributed fashion, where Azure Functions will take care of running as in distributing the load and more, right? And so this all so to get to put it in another way, right? This provides us this sort of takes us the headache of managing the infrastructure and other things. So we can just purely worry about our app, and we don't have to worry about anything else, and it automatically scales. As I said before, there's nothing that you have to do to sort of like make it work. So let's take a look about the supported languages, right? So for today's talk, we'll be talking about Python, but it also supports other languages. It supports C#, Go, Java, PowerShell, and Rust. And so in the last, as you can see, I've mentioned you can also use any other language using custom image and PowerShell. So as it turns out, I was under the impression that I would be able to make a custom Windows image, but as it turns out, the last point that I put in here was wrong. I just found out, some few minutes before our meetup that you can only build Linux custom images, which means you cannot run PowerShell. So you cannot. So I don't know if we could run all the other languages. I might have to get back to you guys on that thing. I'll probably update the slide after the talk or something. So that is that. And there are a couple of deployment approaches that you could take, right? So the first is the command line approach, and you also have a visual code approach. So here I'll be taking a command line approach, as I have a headless machine, and I prefer command line over GUI tools. So I'll be taking that approach. But if you are someone who likes GUI tools, you should use VS Code approach. So they have official Visual Studio Code Azure plugins for you to create apps, create functions, and deploy functions onto Azure Functions. There's also a third approach that I didn't mention here because I don't think in a production setup that's something that people generally do, is use the Azure portal GUI. You could simply go to Azure Functions and functions. Yeah, you can go to the Functions app, and you could probably create a function app from here. But we'd be doing none of those. Like I said, we'd be doing it, taking the command line approach. But for all intents and purposes, it is going to be sort of like similar. You wouldn't find much of any differences between all the three approaches. It's practically going to be the same. So there are some prerequisites for us to do what we want to do. First is obviously we'll need to have a Azure account. If you don't have an Azure account, head over to portal.azure.com and sign yourself up. I have signed up, and they also gave me 13,000 rupees as a credit. I have like 13,000 rupees that I can use, and it expires within a month. So once you sign up, you just make sure you explore all the services that Azure has to offer, which is a nice thing. And you would need Azure Functions core tools. So this Azure Function core tools is basically a binary called func, F-U-N-C, func. So that is used for creating projects and functions, testing your functions locally, deploying, and then looking at the log for looking at the log streams, whichever is deployed on the Azure Functions. And then you need Azure CLI. It's just for managing the Azure cloud resources. You need some service accounts, and you need to create the function app. So for example, if I were to show you over here, you'll have to create the function app, and you'll have to create some storage accounts. So for that purpose, we use Azure CLI. So install that thing as well. And for the sake of the demo, I'm using 3.8. I mean, on my machine, I have 3.9, but there's no much difference between 3.8 and 3.9. So Azure at the moment, it only supports 3.x. 2 is discontinued, like the start of last year, I guess. So these are the three versions that Azure supports. I recommend the 3.8 build. Always try to go for the latest one. So I've also documented installing the Azure core tools, but like I said, I've put documentations only for the Debian based systems. So if you're running on a different system or Windows or Mac, you might have to refer their documentation, which I'll link them in the slides as well. So first thing is to install the Microsoft package repository GPG key. So this GPG key is used to validate if the package is. So this will be used by the package manager, the apt-get package manager, to verify the integrity of the Azure Func tools. And then you'll have to set up the APT source. Once you set up the APT source, once you set up the APC source, you would be ready to, you can just update your apt, and you can just install core functions version 3. Make sure you're installing version 3. So I'll not be showing these on my machine, for I've already installed these tools. And then you'll have to use so this actually installs the func binary. This will install a binary called func. And then we need to install Azure CLI, which will install a binary called AZ. Right. It's not always a good idea to just blindly copy paste scripts from the screen, scripts from the internet. You'll always need to make sure you go through the scripts before actually running some arbitrary code from internet on your machine, because you don't know that there might be a malicious code hiding there somewhere. But I didn't check this thing myself. Reason being, this is maintained by the Azure team, so I just trust the team. So I just installed it without looking at it. So once you install it, right, you will have to do a command line login. Fine. So to do a command line login, you do AZ login. Again, I've done this AZ login myself, so I'm not going to be showing this thing. So the AZ login will just do a command line login in your. I mean, it will just do whatever you do on the portal. You will do the same thing over here. So for our demo purpose, I'm using the central India region location. But if you want to run it on a different location, you'll have to run list locations. So let me just run the list locations to show you the available locations. So we have this thing, AZ account list location. Fine. So as you can see, it has plenty of locations, and the one that you should be picking up is the name, not the display name. You should be picking up the name. So despite what the name says, like Central India, so despite what the Central India name says, it's not really a Central India. It's basically, I don't know, maybe it has a alias for South India. I'm not entirely sure, but the location is in Chennai. So yeah, it's pretty close to Bangalore. So that's the location that I'll be using. So like I said, list locations. If you want any other locations, you can get it from list locations, right? So the alternative installs, as in if you are on different platform, or and if you want to install these tools, or if you want to install it to a different approach, you can always refer the documentations which I've linked here. So let's start with creating our first project and functions. So let me just come over here. So for ease of use, right, I've declared some environment variables. So as you can see, there are some environment variables. So I'll just show the environment variables that I'll be using here. So I've set up my environment variables over here. So for example, everything is going to be prefixed with the confab demo, and the location that I've chosen is Central India. And the storage name and the project name, the storage name and the app name should be unique. So this across all the accounts, right? So this is like the storage. So if some other user is using the same name as your app, I mean, if you're trying to use an app that someone else registered, you won't be able to use it. It should be unique across different accounts. So keep something longer, so that it doesn't so that you can be sure that other people have not taken it, right? And then the project name is just going to be confab project demo and project, and the app name is simply going to be the config demo hello. That's what I'm going to keep the app name as, and the group name is I'm going to keep it as confab demo -rg. So this is basically a resource group. I'll tell what is a resource group in a moment. So with those things established, so let me just source this file first. Okay, so now I have all these environment variables on my environment. So I'm going to create a new app. Fine. So when I do this, like I said, the project name is already declared over here, which is config demo project. It's going to create a new project for me. So when I do ls, as you can see, I have a config demo project app, which is run over here now. Fine. So right off the bat, you can see, since we said this is going to be a Python app, it went ahead and it created a requirements.txt for us. So if you can see, it created a requirements.txt. So by default, this requirements.txt is only going to have this Azure functions, right? And then there are some host and so it also creates some other bunch of metadata, but that's not something that we'll have to worry about it now. So yeah. So I use Poetry for management. You could use whatever thing that you use, Poetry. you could choose to use sorry, let me just finish this thing. Okay, so you could choose to use virtualenv or any other virtualenv package that you are using. So my tree shell will open up things in my shell, right? Awesome. So now with those things set up, what we'll do next is we'll create our first function, right? We've already created a project. Now let's create our first function. So this function is going to be based on this template, which is a HTTP trigger. So like I said, there are like many triggers. There could be HTTP triggers. There could be a
Dilip, I'm
queue
sorry to
trigger.
interrupt you.
Yeah.
Like, Dilip, are you sharing a screen? Because it's not been.
Oh, it is not.
Yeah, you have stopped sharing.
Okay. When did it stop shared? After a minute, is it?
Just 5-6 minutes back. 6 seconds back.
Okay, maybe there was a power cut in my home. I guess my phone has. Okay, just a minute.
Yeah, and your laptop is not being shown there. So
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's right. So let me just try reconnecting from my laptop.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So is this? Are you guys able to see my screen now? Or
Yes, Dilip.
okay, awesome. So I hope you guys saw the init command, right? Hello.
I think you can go back to maybe around 10 seconds, 15 seconds back from where you have left. So,
okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I didn't do much here. I just ran the init command. Oh, shit. So I just ran the Azure init command. Okay, so I just ran the init command and it created a project for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to so what I'm going to do now is just I'm going to create a simple function. So like I said, you can create simple Python functions and deploy them onto Azure. So there are multiple templates that you can choose from, right? So what I'm going to do for the demo purpose, I'm just going to show the HTTP trigger. HTTP trigger means it expects a HTTP request, and once it gets a HTTP request, it will trigger your function. There are also other triggers, like I explained previously. It could be a database trigger, or it could be a queue trigger, or it could be a timer trigger. So there are multiple templates, and you can find them. You can find all of these on the Azure documentation. So you could see all the triggers that they put over here, and there are like multiple templates. So I'll let you guys explore it. And then I'm going to put auth level as anonymous. Anonymous means anybody would be able to make a request. You could also bring in authentication, but for simplicity, let's not go there. For now, let's keep all our requests anonymous. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a new function, right? So oh shit. Just a minute. Okay. So first, I'm going to create a new function, which is wrong. Okay, I don't know why, but it is not pasting. But let me just write it myself, or I already have it. New. Okay. So that is it. And when I do that, it will create a new template for me. So as you can see, it created a config demo hello app. And now let's explore just this config demo app. So if I were to look into this thing, you will basically find a function.json. So this function.json is nothing but just like it's like a manifest. It's a metadata that tells Azure how to run your code. Right. So for instance, over here, shit. Give me a moment, guys. My Vim doesn't work without these tools. Okay. So yeah, so we have function.json. It's a JSON file. So basically, it says which script to invoke. So it says where. So by default, Azure function would look for a function named main. That's what it always invokes. And the script file says where the main function can be found. In our case, the script file is in this init.py. So this init.py is right over here. Hello functions, hello, and then we have an init.py. I'll walk you guys through the init.py in a moment. So we have auth level. We are saying since we used a HTTP trigger template, it said what type it is, and the auth level is anonymous. Anybody can make a request. And then the direction is so for this particular thing, the direction is in, which means you will get a message from the internet into your app. That's what it means. And then it will say the parameter name, which is REQ, what parameter to pass it out as. And then these are the methods that it supports at the moment. It supports a get method, HTTP method, and a post method. And then the return type. So this is for whatever input that you'll be getting from the internet, right? And then you'll have to return something back to the internet, which is what the second set of things says. So it says it's a HTTP, the direction is out, and the return is whatever the function returns, it'll just return it back to the internet. So that's what it means. So now let's take a look at this init.py. So by default, when we create, it will create a default init.py, and as you can see, it has imported from Azure Functions. The only reason it's doing that is for type hinting. You don't need to import from Azure Functions if you don't want any type hintings. Oh no, actually you'll have to import HTTP responses as well. So yeah, I guess there is no way of avoiding it. So yeah, so this rig, as you saw previously, is defined in the function.json. That's what the parameter. So this rig is the parameter that we have configured over here. So that's what we'll be getting inside our code as well. So here, by default, let's say we are expecting something called name. So I'm just going to make a okay. So let's say we are trying to expect a parameter for name. So when you make a GET request, your parameter will be in this param represents the query parameter. So when you make a GET request, you will most probably send your parameters in the query parameters. But when you're making a post request, you will probably send it as a raw body or a JSON post, right? So whatever you see over here, right, is basically for the post method. So suppose say your request is not get, you will not get this name over here because you would not send it. You would not send it as a query parameter. You would send it as a JSON body. So that's what you're doing here. You're trying to get it from your JSON body. But for now, for sake of simplicity, we are not going to do that. You can just delete it. Let's assume we will only be making get calls. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, try to get a name or call it a stranger. Fine. And I'm just simply going to return delete inside quotes. I'm just simply going to return hello there. Hello name. Welcome. Fine. So that's simply what I'm going to say. And the status code is 200 by default. So if it is 200, you don't have to specify it. If it's anything else, you will have to specify it. So yeah, that's a simple code. It just simply says hello. If you're giving name, it will tell you name, or it will just simply print it. I'm just going to go ahead and remove. Okay, let the log be there. So that's all the function does. So what we'll do now is we'll try running the function. And before running the function, let me just copy projects functions. Let me just copy my poetry PyProject.yaml. Fine. And CP. So there will also be a func_ignore. As you can see, by default, it will also create a func_ignore file. The func_ignore is more like a git_ignore file. I'm also going to copy that func_ignore, which I created earlier. So this func_ignore will just basically say what folders to ignore. So by default, my virtual is created on my current folder. Every time I try to deploy, I don't want to deploy my current folder. I mean my virtual environment folder. So I've just ignored the folder. That's what the func_ignore is used for. And then let me just say poetry install. So I didn't do much. PyProject. So since yesterday was preparing my slides, I just created all the dependencies which I'll be needing for today's demo. So I just copied it. Now I'm just going to install all those things. Go to install. Okay. The log file is not updated. Okay. Okay, run poetry.log. I'm just going to remove the poetry.log. I'm just going to do a fresh install again. And one thing to note is that Azure Functions doesn't know about poetry. So you will have to export your for your things to run properly. I received a phone call. I hope I'm audible, Rohit. Am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible.
Hello?
But between we missed you for just 3-4 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. So I'll just quickly deploy this and I'll be done. So I've exported the requirements.txt file, and now I can just run func start. I can just run func start to actually run the program to test it locally. So here, when I visit, it will tell you hello stranger, and you can pass in a name. I can say name is equal to Dilip. I hope that font is visible. So when I say name is equal to Dilip, it passes hello Dilip. Also, so now we'll just quickly see how to deploy this application. So to deploy this application, you first need to create a resource group. Fine. So this resource group is nothing but you're just simply saying you. Okay, so this resource group is nothing but you're just simply saying, hey, I need a resource group to put all my resources under, so that it's easier to delete it later. You could also choose not to do it, but it's easier if you sort of like have a resource group, because you will be able to easily delete it. And then I'm going to create a storage. So I'm going to create a storage account. So this will create a storage account for me. The storage account is sort of like is where you put all your images and all your metadata into. So Python functions requires this thing to to sort of like run all your programs. So that will take a moment, and when that takes a moment, the So you will need to create a function app. You can either choose to do it on the GUI, like I showed over here, create a function app, or you can create it over here. I'll create it locally. Um, so here, function app. I'm going to create an app called function app. This will go ahead and create a app for me. So I'm just running this app. I'm saying I need it in this location, and I'm saying the runtime is Python. I need a 3.8 version, and I'm giving it a name. And I'm saying you should be running this on Linux. And then finally, to deploy it, you just say function app deploy name, and that is it. It will get deployed. So so right now it is getting, the storage is getting initiated, and yeah, now and finally I get to just deploy this app. And what? Okay, config demo. My bad, I did a small mistake. So it's just called config demo. I think it's called config demo app. So okay, sorry, I don't know what the actual function name is, but yeah, so this is the only thing that you'll need to deploy. So once you deploy, I mean, it will take some time to deploy, so I'm not going to show it now since I'm already out of time. You will finally get a URL where you can visit and check your app. And once you deploy, you will see your app coming up over here. So that is it. You guys have any questions? I mean, I don't think if you have any time for questions, but yeah, go ahead.
That was a really nice session by you. So just because we are running a bit out of time, so we'll be like
Yeah, sure.
sharing the
Yeah.
live URL with you so that you can go through the questions being asked by our participants. So you can go
Okay.
offline and you can answer to those questions as well.
Yeah, sure thing, Rohit. Thank you then.
So Dilip will be sharing your slides with our participants so that they can go through all the
Yeah, that's
burning.
right. So my slides are here. This yeah, I'll share it on the link. I can share
Sure.
it after our call. Yeah.
Yeah, you can share with me and we'll share with the participants as well.
Oh yeah, sure thing. Sure thing. Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dilip, for joining us today. And that was a really nice session, and we look forward to have you again in our
Sure
future
thing.
events as well.
Thank you, Rohit, for giving me the opportunity. So it
Thank
was
you.
nice being here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So, guys, that was Dhilip. With this, we have come to the end of our first session for today's meetup. Next, we have a panel discussion with our past winners for Azure Developer Stories like 2020, which happened last year. So, we have three guest speakers. We have Jayendran, we have Anand Gothe, and we have Ankit Sharma as the panel discussion members. And for this discussion, Ganesh from Confab will be moderating this whole session. So before we jump into the panel discussion, I would like to thank Tech Primers. So Tech Primers is one of the streaming partners for our today's meetup, and this whole session is being streamed to their YouTube channel as well. So we are really thankful to them. And there were a few questions in the chat box coming regarding the Azure credits. So as I mentioned earlier, those who are looking to get Azure credits, so we have a Azure Developer Challenge. The links I'll be sharing in the comment section. So what you need to do, you just need to take up the learn collections you complete, and if you are a professional and if you come across like the top 500 participants, so you'll be getting a chance to get $100 worth Azure credit, and there are like swags as well for you. So that's all from my side, and I'll bring our guest for today. So we have Ganesh from Confirm as moderator. Hi, Ganesh.
Hi everyone.
So we have Anand,
Yep.
we
Hi,
have
everyone.
Ankit, and we have Jayendran. Hello, everyone.
Hi everyone. Really happy to be here.
We are really like excited for this session because there are so many questions being asked from our participants. Like, what is this Azure Developer Stories? And they are really like interested on participating for this year. So we thought of like having a panel discussion where like our experts will be like be coming live, and they'll be sharing their experiences of their past this Azure Developer Stories. And yeah, there will be so many tips and experiences being shared by our expert speakers as well. So I won't take much of your time, and we'll get started. So all to you, Ganesh. Ganesh, I think you're mute.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. So, Jayendran, Ankit, and Anand, really happy to have you here in this panel discussion about dev stories. We had this 2020 edition, and we had 80 plus submissions for this dev stories. And Rohit, please share the link in the chat so that everyone can take a look at the last year dev stories. And we have two of the winners, top winners in the panel discussion. So Jayendran and Anand, and we have Ankit, who is a prolific writer. He is author of 3 books. Uh, so we're really thrilled to have you here. So we'll just jump into the discussion and ask over to your for questions. So what was the theme of your blog, and how was your experience participating in Azure Developer Stories 2020? Anand and Jayendran.
You want to go in, Anand?
Hey, your voice is low.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I will go first. Yeah. So my blog was about using cognitive services to detect things from bill. So when you upload a bill, for example, when you're applying for reimbursement, then you have to fill in all those details. And I thought we can, yeah, I mean, it's 2020, we shouldn't have to fill it manually. So using Azure Cognitive Services, we can extract useful information from those bills, like how much is the amount and what is the date and so on. So that was my blog. I think we can share the link later. You can see how easy it is to do. You can do it in maybe 15 minutes. The inspiration for this was actually the work I was doing. I was actually working on this for one of our customers last year. The final product is, of course, much more complex, but this part of the cognitive services I thought is so simple that everyone should be able to use it. So I decided to write a blog about it. And coincidentally,
Awesome,
at the same time, the competition was going on. So yeah, lucky. I just got lucky.
Awesome. Jayendran?
So, hey everyone, happy to be in this call.
Hey, your voice is low, Jayendran.
Am I audible?
Better, yeah. But
Okay.
if you put a headphone, it'll be better. But yeah, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I will do that later. Yeah. So I think this is audible. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, in fact, my first kind of a big win in 2020, I would say. So my blog is basically about prediction of feedback. Feedback in the sense how the product is really working, whether the clients internal clients having any issues or they need any features or something like that. They can give us a go to a Yammer channel and they can provide the feedback, and using the cognitive services again, and with kind of a complex architecture it is, using the Azure Functions. Then I will try to predict whether the feedback is really a positive feedback or it's a bug. So then I will show it in another web app, in a portal, in a live manner using SignalR. So I thought like, okay, so I just need to get some really relevant scenario for the use case instead of going with writing a normal blog. So that's my intent, and I just made it like, okay, somebody can use it for their own needs. So that's my really intent, and quite surprising that it was won the first prize actually.
Awesome, awesome, Jayendran. So, Ankit, maybe you can share about your experiences writing blogs and books.
Yeah, for the Azure Dev Stories, I have written a blog where I used the computer vision cognitive service with an Angular application. So I created a optical character reader, and we uploaded a picture, and then it will extract the text from the picture. So it was supporting almost 25 languages. So that is how I did, and it was complete with the UI where you can easily upload a picture and get the extracted text also. And if the text is not supported, then you will see an unknown language message over there. And coming to the book, so I started with writing on Blazor. I am working on UI technologies front end for almost 3.5 years or 4 years almost, and I was approached by Pact for writing book on Blazor. So before writing the book, I had already written almost 10 articles on Blazor. So I was very much interested in Blazor when as soon as it was launched, because writing C# in UI is something you can only imagine few years back. But right now you have that feature where you write C# code and it will create a UI for you. So I was very much interested. So I started with Blazor, and then after the Blazor book is published, I was approached for another book by Pact on C#. So I wrote that, and then I also wrote a book on Angular and Firebase. So where we create a full stack application where I use Firebase as a backend and Angular for the UI. That is how the whole thing works.
Awesome, awesome. So, okay. So, this developer stories contest is for encouraging techies who almost the whole time in the day, right? They spend in tech stuff. But if you talk about how much they share their knowledge, it's relatively a very small percentage, right? So this developer stories contest is primarily for people to share their knowledge so that others can learn from their experiences. That's why it is also called developer stories, not really blogging contest or anything like that. That is one thing. And another one is the currently in the world around us, especially with the COVID situation, right? In the last 1 year, the consumption of videos as a form of learning has exploded tremendously. And last year, Dev Stories, for example, almost all the submissions, except for handful, everything else was written blogs. So this is a question for you. What is your perspective on video blogs or vlogs or screencasts? Would you like to write or create videos? That is the question. And also, many people find it difficult to express themselves in writing. Whereas if you ask someone, let's say, what did you do in your project? They'll be able to easily explain for 10-15 minutes in video, right? And it's possible to capture that and submit it as a story. So what is your take about video blogs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And the video is
Anand,
like
I
10,000.
think you are in mute.
No, I'm able to hear
I'm
Anand.
not in mute.
Okay. Go good. Sorry.
Okay. So a video is like 10,000 words. So yeah, of course, a video blog is much better than a written blog. Both have their own pros and cons. What I would do maybe is do both. A video blog quickly show things. It's so much easier to show things, and accompany it with a written blog which has maybe more information and references for people who want to go deeper. But yes, it's an extremely good start. And as you mentioned, Ganesh, for the new generation, for example, I think making videos is much easier than than writing. So
Yeah, even I have two daughters, and even they made screencasts. And if you say that it's very hard to make screencasts of 10 or 15 minutes, sharing your own experiences, developing software in Azure, for example, I think it's hard to believe. It's so very easy to create videos these days. Yeah, I agree completely with you, Anand. Jayendran and Ankit.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
also believe that videos is good because you can see things in action. But in my personal view, I am not comfortable with video because what is the problem? What I think is that if there is some mistake, then you have to record again, or you have to spend too much time on editing. And for like, if you record a video for 10 minutes, then you have to be pitch perfect for those 10 minutes. But in case of article, you can always reiterate the things. That's why my personal choice is article. But again, it depends on person to person. Some people will prefer videos, some people will prefer blogs. So I think both are good. The only point is that whatever you are writing is useful for the people who are watching or reading the blog. So that is more important.
Sure, Ankit. So your observation about iteration and changing is easier with written word than the videos is a very valuable insight. Yeah. Jayendran, please.
Yep. So am I audible?
Yes, Jayendran.
Yes. So I just put the headphones. Okay. So I'm so I'm seeing like doing as a video. It's really good. So the technology is always moving forward, right? So right now we are writing in a blog, and eventually you will do in a video. Who knows? In future we can go for virtual reality, augmented reality. Also, it is kind of a possible. So nothing will stop the technologies. So I'm seeing, see, writing is a kind of a art. So which we never get it from the video. So it's a different art, I would say. Like if you know painting, if you know drawing, then you ideally love the way of writing the blog, right? Previously we all know that we will write in a kind of exams in our academics. Eventually we move into virtual world and we are writing in blogs. So which makes think like, okay, at least we are following the writing in form of blogs. So videos is another much easier way, I would say. If somebody wants to do a demo, they can easily showcase the demo. And even for us, we are now doing the panel discussion in live manner using the video kind of a thing, which makes to reach the topics, reach the Q&A, all the theme to the audience perfect manner. So these kind of things we can for kind of a demo we can showcase in a video. But if we really want to understand the core knowledge, how the technologies is working, how this connection to other thing, so unless or until we write exact clear about in a blog, it is very difficult to understand. That is my own perspective.
Sure, Jayendran. So actually, another thing that I wanted to mention, like Anand shared, right? He could perhaps write written blog, as well as a video, right? And there are 3 categories for dev stories. Like in last year, we had 4 categories. This year, 3 categories. One is on Node.js, another one on Python, another one on .NET. So yeah, a submitter can have maximum 3 blogs, 1 per category. So one possibility is that one person can submit a video blog for one category and a written blog for another category. And also, just to add on to all 3 of you what you said, it need not be only in the written format. You can have a written blog in that the demo part, as Jayendran you said, it could be the video format, right? And it need not always be completely written, and it can be mix of both. And as Ankit, you rightly said, a lot of people have their own preferences. Some people prefer video ones, and some people prefer writing. And so we can honor both the approaches. All right, so now we'll get into individual panel questions. So our first panel member, Jayendran, question for you. You are the winner for Azure Dev Stories 2020. How did you feel? And one thing I liked really about your blog is there are so many blogs we come across, and it's a tech blogs, and most of them are boring, right? But you made your tech blog so interesting. It didn't feel like we didn't feel like stopping somewhere, like to go through it and to feel in the end, read it till the end. So yeah, how was your experience participating, and what are you planning to write this year?
Exactly. So that is always my intent when I write technical. So I'm thinking like my theme itself, it's a very in-depth theme. So I using lots of technologies, lots of services, Azure services. So if any non-technical person come into my blog, they will simply tell, oh god, it's a very complex architecture. I thought like it is very easy to do, but it's kind of very complex. So they will eventually lose the interest. So what I did was, this is my even first try. I tried putting a lot of GIF, saying it's a kind of funny to read, and by parallelly it is also kind of very interesting to read. So which makes me think like, okay, so by this kind of a thing I can stay with my audience throughout the blog journey. So that's my even first try. In fact, it just really worked well by seeing the response. And it's also my first blog in dev community, which is like dev.2. So my first blog in dev.2, which I thought like, okay, I took some kind of complex architecture. I wrote it. It's a very detailed manner. So I will put all the GIFs so that audience will just see and understand the thing very easily in an animated fashion. Also, that's also another journey. And the way I saw the dev stories thing is, I actually put some time frame for me. So choosing the topic I is kind of a difficult. So even I'm also right now participating in 2021 dev stories. I'm thinking, what should my topic is about? I'm just thinking, because um, while speaking, Anand easily told like, I get some topic, a light amount of topic part from the existing project, and he make a blog, which is really good. But I think is, I don't have such kind of theme easily, which I'm put in the blog. So I'm thinking like, so I need something different or unique, which is really useful for the community. So which makes me think, okay, I put a time frame like, this is 5 to 10 15 days. I have to decide the theme, and I have to decide what exact problem I'm going to solve, which is in the world. Then I will put the technical form of architecture. Okay, this is my problem statement, and this are all the services which I need to develop my problem statement project. Then I will write a draft. The next 15 days I will draft the blog. And a drafting blog is it's kind of very easy. You can roughly draft all the things, whatever pour in your mind, you can simply do it. But the next thing is, actually you need to going to implement it. So there are two different I can see. One kind of blogging is, you can simply follow the flow and you can simply put it in a blog. The next thing is, you really want to showcase as the demo. So I do the source code, I put it in the GitHub, I screenshot all the factors, all the services from my demo, and I put it in the blog, which makes my blog really end-to-end product. So if someone comes to my blog, they can simply able to understand, okay, he is using this component, and this component is configured this, so I can refer this screenshot. And you can, it is not always the screenshot, like we discussed earlier. We can also use video kind of a thing, which makes also easy to understand the audience. So I'm also thinking the same kind of a thing. I'm yet to decide my topic, because I'm still searching for my problem statement, which problem I can solve in the real world. It is not something like, uh, if we think about writing a blog in some kind of technologies, we will lose the intent. So we always think about, we need to think about something, which problem we are going to solve in real world. So if you think about the problem statement, technology will automatically come into picture and come automatically fit into all the places. So that's also one kind of thing which I share across the community.
Oh, that's awesome, Jayendran. I didn't realize, you put in so much thought for getting an idea, to develop it over 15 days and fill in the details. And I think one thing I realized from talking to you is the way people write blogs is completely different from each other. Like the way I write blogs, I don't have the patience for 15 days. I'll start today and, finish end of the day. And you also like the idea that, you think of a blog as a product. That's something very interesting. Yeah, yeah, good takeaways, Jayendran. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I would
Okay, I
also
think.
like to add one thing here. So, like considering blog as a product is a very great idea, because it will make you feel attached to that, and then you will put it a complete effort on creating that. So that is very good point. I really like
Yeah,
it.
awesome. Nice one. Yeah. So Jayendran, second question for you. So what do you think are the ingredients that make the blog or content great? So what aspects should focus on? Language, technical details, working source code, demos, references, mix of material like video and text, or GIFs. So what are the ingredients? What is the magic potion that you use?
Yeah, so in fact, whatever the ingredients you mentioned, we have to use all. So first thing is, um, of course we are doing kind of a competition, right? But just forget the competition and take it as aside and see, I want to write a blog which really want to affect some person, which really want to think some person like, okay, Jayendran wrote a blog, I can make the blog into next level. So if someone comes to my blog and says like, okay, I think I use this first part and I make the continuation of that, if that happened really, that's my win for my blog. So the ingredients I would specifically mention, like, of course, the way we should write, it's a kind of art again, I would say. So I'm still learning on that because I'm not like a very good blogger. So I'm still need to learn a lot. First we have to think about the format, how we are going to format our blog. Like, is there any introduction, is there any architectural diagram we have to put, is there any conclusion or reference? So first we need to define whether we are going to have any kind of a template. It's not necessary to have a template, but if you think something in your mind, then you can put it in a structure, basically the skeleton of the blog. So then you can put like, okay, in the introduction part I'm going to tell about what is my problem statement, because I'm seeing my blog as a product, kind of a live scenario as a product development. So in the introduction I'm going to tell what is my problem statement, what I'm going to solve. So that's the thing which I want to put. If you are purely going on a pure technical thing, you don't need to do this kinds of templates or skeleton. You can simply go with, this is my blog and I'm going to use this services, this is my outcome. So that is also fine. The next thing is, of course, the language, like how we are going to do the thing. We have a lot of grammatic mistake, which because I also do like that. So what I will use, like I will use the tool called Grammarly, and you can also use many tools. So you can simply avoid the punctuations things and some kind of grammatic mistakes. You can avoid that, because that will make our blog into a next level. So that's the grammatical and the language, it's of course very important. Then the GIF is the first thing which I introduced in that competition. So putting a GIF, it's not necessary to put GIF always, because if you put too much GIF, it will simply become like a funny blog. So it will not something like a pure technology blog. You can put a GIF in the place whenever you need it, not always. That's my kind of recommendation. And finally, the source code, that's one important thing. So again, it's not like a mandatory thing, it's again an optional thing. Since I'm seeing my blog kind of a end-to-end product, so I thought sharing the source code will makes my audience to reach very unique, so that the it can able to clone by the my audience also. If I host my source code in GitHub or any other repository, they can go to the source code and they can check, okay, this is the source code, this is the code, and this is the place where I need to change to make it to work with my preference. So source code is again one of the major part. If you are going to write a pure technical thing and you don't want to lose the audience in sooner, so you can put a GitHub or some other kind of a thing. I think pretty much this is it. Don't think too much about ingredients. The main thing which I'm seeing is the content. So if you pick your content, if you pick your topic, kind of if it is a really worth, all the ingredients will automatically come to you once you start working on writing this thing. So it will come automatically. So it's a kind of art again. So you will be an artist once you start writing the blog. So just go and pick the things.
Nice, nice, nice. Actually, one more ingredient, though you said there is no ingredient, the content is the king, right? So Sapan Soren has commented saying that while making a blog, coffee or tea must be near with you. So
Of
I
course,
think that's
you
one of the
can
ingredients as well.
you can pick whatever the thing, because see, we are not going coffee, tea. It's always going to be create a different mood for you. So you will think more in kind of out of the box. So I will put this. I will put this. So you can also use that. The thing I'm for me is I take a lot of time, because I'm not going to complete the blog in a single day, as you mentioned. So I take a lot of time frame, like 10 days or 15 days. So I will do some part today and I will save it, and I will do the next part next day. So this kinds of thing will also keep us to innovate more. So during the after my first draft, I will think, okay, on the second draft, how I can improve it much better. On the third draft, I can include, okay, how can include the next one, or even I can think the previous draft I can improve it like this. So I will get a new idea on that time. So this is also some kind of really good kind of recommendation, I would say.
Yeah, right. So that's awesome, Jayendran. So looking forward for this year submission as well. So some questions for Anand. Uh, so Anand, of course, you are an awesome expert and architect. So from your perspective, so how important do you think is to have the subject matter expertise to write a good blog? So this question is also important from a different perspective, because unlike last year, this year anyone can submit, including students, right? So and many of the young developers, they have a feeling that you should be a top-notch expert to be able to write a blog. So what's your take on this, Anand? So how much importance is technical expertise in writing a blog?
Yeah, I wouldn't say much. You don't have to be an expert. So most of my blogs are problems that I'm facing and I couldn't find a solution for on the internet. And once I figure out a solution, I will make a blog and post it so that someone else who's facing similar problem can benefit from it. So again, it just even a bit of new information that you share on the internet is going to help someone. Like one of the blogs that I have most traffic on is extremely specific problem I had in OpenXML, where you select particular cell in Excel. It's so obscure that you wouldn't really think to write about it. But that's the thing most people are looking for, because there is so apparently nobody had figured it out before. So again, I was not an expert in OpenXML. It's just something I faced, and I figured out how to solve it, and you post it. So yeah, you don't need to be an expert. Anything new you think you can add to the internet's knowledge base, please go ahead and write about it. There will be, I guarantee you, there will be someone looking for it.
Awesome, Anand. So one more question for you. So you are very active in the tech community. So you are organizing meetups like a .NET Bangalore meetup, software architect meetup group, and so on. So what are your thoughts on content creation and sharing within a community? And also, do you feel that there is a need for content creation, um, and developers like us should come forward and share our knowledge, what we have, with the communities in the form of blogs, articles, video content, etc. So this is also reflecting from some of the experience I had looking around people around us. uh, I don't know if it is our mindset or what it is. From people from India, we are not writing as much as that we could, or we don't do so much contribution in the form of giving talks, creating videos, tech videos, or blogs, etc. So what is your thoughts about that? So is content creation, knowledge sharing, is it important, or just doing some work and be done with that? Is it enough?
No, it is extremely important for two reasons. One is, of course, it benefits the community, so you leave a good mark on the world. But second is also for your own personal growth, that you get a huge boost in your career if you have some public presence in terms of blogs or videos. Trust me, your interview processes are going to be extremely easy. All you just have in your resume, you just have to send them links, and once they see what you can do and if what you have experienced, yeah, half of your selection is already done. But I wouldn't say that's the main reason. The main reason, of course, is to share what you learn with the community, because most developers will know, I mean, 80% of what we do is from Google search or Stack Overflow. So we are benefiting from knowledge of others. So it is only fair that we also give back some of what we learn.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Anand. So, Ankit, a couple of questions for you. So, you have been writing so many blogs, and you have also published, 3 books. He's added more. I don't know. He keeps writing so much, right? So,
Currently it's 3 only.
okay. So, we would like to hear, who is that blogger or writer that inspires you the most, and can you tell us some of the best practices you follow while writing blogs or books, or any content that you create?
Yeah, so I would say that as other guys also mentioned, the most important point is the content or the problem statement. So what you are going to write should be useful for others. That is one important point. Another point which I follow is writing in simple and plain language. I am not writing a literary masterpiece. I am not a Shakespeare. I have to write in very, very dumb language so that everybody can understand. Even even college students are reading it, even graduates are reading it, and English is not our primary language in our country. So it is very, very important that whenever we are writing blogs in English, it should be very, very simple to understand, and it should not contain too much of literary jargons. So that is an important point. And also it should be well structured and working code. So if I am sharing a GitHub repository, I am expecting that if someone downloads and runs it, it should run without any error in the first try itself. If after reading my blog they have to fix the compilation issues in my code, then what is the point of writing a blog for me? So it is very, very important that you should always share a working code sample. So that is important, and write in simple language and in a well structured format. Start from zero, like as first introduction, what is the problem statement, what is my solution, and then finally this is a GitHub repo where you where the person can share the code or work more on the code. That is what style I follow, and this is the same style I follow for blogs as well as books also. However, in case of books, the only thing changes that it's a long-term commitment. Like if you start writing blog, it will hardly take 1 week or 10 days. You will finish with everything. But in case of books, it will take months, like 6 months or 8 months. That is the only thing that changed.
Okay, awesome, Ankit. So that gives insights about how you go about writing blogs and books. So one thing we wanted to ask you, like for example, I am working full time, and Anand is working full time, and Jayendran is working full time, and it's so difficult to spend time with our regular work commitment and family commitments, and it's almost envious to see you writing prolific. Before blink of eye, you have another blog or book written. So what's your secret? How do you manage time?
So see, everybody got 24 hours, right? So you have to manage your time somehow. Uh, Everybody is working in company for, let's say, 8 hours a day, but for all those 8 hours you are not occupied. You are occupied for hardly 5 hours or 4 hours per day. That is the beauty of IT industry. That is the benefit, I will say. And some days are there where you occupy for 10 or 12 hours, right? Where there, let's say there is some production support and you have to work extra time. But there are some days where you work only 3 or 4 hours. So utilize your free time. That is very, very important. And you have to make some sacrifices also. For example, you have to cut down on other activities which is less priority. For example, I don't want to. I'm not kind of traveler person. Like I don't want to go to partying, clubbing, or to travel. I don't like that. It's my personal choice. I stay mostly at home, so I write in my free time. So that is very, very important. And also utilize weekends. You have 2 days, right? Most of the everybody got 2 days of weekend, so you can utilize some time over there. That is how I plan my work. And when I am writing book, we have to follow a strict timeline. So like in 15 days you have to deliver one chapter, in like 10 days you have to deliver one chapter. So there is a fixed timeline while writing books. So for those cases I always set aside 1 hour every day. So in the night after my dinner is done, everybody sleeps, so maybe around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. in the night, I write for 1 hour or 2 hours till midnight. That is how I manage my work. So everything comes down to how you manage your time effectively. That is very, very important. And you have to make some trade-offs, as I said. Like you have to cut down some unnecessary activities which is least priority for you. So that is how you can manage.
Awesome, Ankit. So it's all about managing time.
Yes.
Not wasting time, and in when you have less work, let's say 3 or 4 hours remaining time we can work, and cutting down unnecessary things, and
Yes.
planning your execution of writing. So awesome, Ankit. Okay, so for all of three of you, one by one, you can answer this. So the question is, what is a single suggestion or tip that you would give to those who are writing blog for this year Azure Developer Story?
Yeah, I
So
mean, specifically, not specifically for the competition, but for a blog, the single greatest suggestion I can give is sleep on it. Write the
Okay.
blog before you hit the publish button. You sleep on it, and next day you hit the publish button. I'm
That's
sure
interesting.
during your
Okay.
sleep, I know you will realize some of the things that you have to fix or you can change.
That's interesting.
During your
Okay.
sleep, I know you will
That's interesting. Yeah. So maybe I should also do that. I'm too fast in trying to press the publish button. Okay, sleep on it, and so that we'll get more ideas, and the blog will be better the next day. Yeah, excellent. So Ankit or Jayendran next.
yep, I will go. Okay. So one kind of tip I would say, like, which is my own experience. So when I start writing my first dev.to blog on Azure Dev Stories, I got inspired by a person called Anthony Chu. So he is actually the PM for Azure Functions in Microsoft. So um, the way I see is actually like a wonderful techie person. So he write a lot of blogs earlier. So I got inspired by that. So when I see those, I get a lot of interesting new stuff, and he still keep on working on the new technologies on Azure Functions specifically. So which makes me to think like, okay, I have to use this kind of blog if I want to become a blogger. So I want to write like this kinds of person. So this kind of thing which eventually inspired all of us. So I would recommend, or it's a kind of tip, like there are lots of blog in the community. Okay, so you when you see some of the blog, you really get inspired, like I really want to write like this. This is the way, if I want to write a blogger, I will come like this. So that is the point which triggers for me, and which triggers for me to write this kind of blog. So eventually you will come across this kinds of blogging, or this kinds of inspired person. So make use of that, and you will also tell the person directly. Even I also mentioned Anthony's choose that particular blog as a reference in my blog in the final stage. So I also put the architectural diagram of Anthony Choose, who used it in the same thing. I also put that. So this is a kind of way I recognize his effort. So this is the kind, you will also get more kind of technologies and more kind of blogging concept from others. So that's from my end.
Awesome, Jayendran. Ankit.
Yeah. So I will say that there is one technique which I follow, that while writing the article, think like an author. While reading the same blog, think like an end user. Be your own critic, right? So for example, we are working in our industry. So let's say if I am a developer, I am not going to test my own code. There is another QA team. The reason for that is people get attached to their own creation. Same thing with the bloggers, but in this case there is no QA, there is no tester. I am the author as well as I am the tester. So while writing the blog, think like an author. While reading the blog, think like an end user and be your own critic. And I agree with Anand, sleep on it. Wait for 2 days, 1 day or 2 days before publishing. Read it 2-3 times and see if there are something you can amend. That is very, very important. And also for topic, always select the topic which is useful for the community, which you think solves a particular problem. So that is very, very important in my opinion.
Awesome, Ankit. So, very interesting how you brought in that software development approach, where you can view the blog as a product, and when you are developing it, think like an engineer or a developer, and whereas when you are reading a blog, read it like an end user, right? That
Yeah,
gives us
correct.
different perspective towards the blog itself.
Yeah,
Awesome.
don't get too attached. That is important.
Yeah. Okay. Nice, nice. So yeah, excellent. So thanks so much for all of your insights. Any closing remarks from any of you? And we have the developer stories for this year ending uh, in April 3rd. So we have 3 months, which is actually, I would say, is a I don't know if it's a bless or a cursing, because if you have too much time, you will never get things done. So
No, we can submit multiple entries, so that's good.
yeah.
Okay, I have quick 3 tips which did not come up yet, so I will just quickly mention them.
Sure,
One
sure.
is have a 2 or 3 line summary on top of your blog. It helps the search engines find your blog. It helps whoever is looking for, just in 2 lines, they know what comes next. So it helps save time for everyone. Second is about the time that you asked Ganesh, how to find the time. We have 5 days for the company, 2 days for our life and our wife and our our family. What I try to do is, in a month, keep 1 day for the community. So first Saturday of every month, it's fixed, it's decided. Nothing else is scheduled on that day. I do meetups, you write, you do things for community. It could be technical or not technical. Like, I plant trees on some of those days. So just pick 1 day a month for giving back to the community. That takes care of the time part. The third tip I have is about video blogs. You don't need any fancy tools to make your screencasts and the video blog. What I do, I just use Microsoft Teams, schedule a meeting with myself, join the meeting, record the meetings, share the screen, and speak. You can do this with
Awesome.
Slack or Google Meet, with any of the tools.
This is
You
very
don't
very
need any
innovative, Anand.
yeah, you don't need any fancy tools, and it's so quick. You can do this during your work also. If you find a difficult problem, quickly start a meeting and record the screens, and then you will not forget it. Yeah.
Maybe Jayendran, you can have a blog on this as well. Like, there are many people looking for how to do screencast, and this is a really cool hack. Like, without using any like fancy tool, you can just have a scheduled meeting with yourself and record the whole session.
Yeah, you literally pick a great topic.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks so much, guys. So thank you, Anand. Thank you, Jayendran. Thank you, Ankit. So really appreciate you for your time in a weekend, Saturday morning, you spent for sharing your insights about what makes you great in, sharing knowledge and writing for the community. So thanks so much for sharing your experiences to our dev community participants. So yeah, with that, handing over to Rohit.
Thank you.
It was really nice to have you all here and sharing us experiences and tips with our participants who are looking forward to participate this year. So, and we are also looking forward to have your blogs as well as submission for this year. Like, because as Jayendran and all of you said, not to consider this as a competition, but to give back to the community, because this may help somebody. So that is the motive we all should have. And yeah, looking forward to all of you participating in this year as well.
Yeah, thank you, Rohit. It was great having this conversation, and I hope someone who is looking get inspired and submit some blogs this year.
Yes.
Yep, me too, waiting for that. And just one more, like, when compared to previous year, this year it's going to be like price amount has been increased, so lots of another kind of lots of things is coming as the giveaway. So looking forward for that, and I also want to crossing my fingers to win one of the top kind of winners. So let's hope.
Yeah, we have a Microsoft Surface Pro X for the top 5 winners. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
bigger
hope.
and better.
Yes.
All the best to everyone who submit.
And
Good luck.
all the best to the
Thank you
all.
all.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Thank you
Yeah.
for joining.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
So before we end this stream, guys, I would like to tell you about the contest we have. This meetup was part of Azure Developer Stories, and the last date for submissions is 3rd of April, and we have shared the link as well on the comment box, so you can go through it. So just in case if you're looking for Azure credits to explore on Azure services, so you can go through this link. So this is Azure Developer Challenge, which we have started, and how to earn these Azure credits. You need to be like on top of the 500 professionals, and for that you need to complete any of the learning collections. So we have 3 categories, starting from Python on Azure, Node.js on Azure, and .NET on Azure. So you just need to complete any of these learn collections completely and submit your profile with us. And the top 500 professionals will be getting Azure credits worth $100. Also, students who are inquiring about whether they can like participate in this challenge or not. So yes, we have this challenge open for students as well, but the to encourage students, so we have been giving this Azure credits to them as well, but the numbers are different. So for students, like the top 150 participants will be getting Azure credits, and with that we have like swags for our top participants as well. So once you complete this challenge, obviously you'll be getting Azure credits, and then you can explore Azure services. And since I mentioned, you can participate in Azure Developer Stories, as Anand, Ankit, and Jayendran, who gave their insights on the experiences from their last year participation. So this meetup was from Azure Developer Stories, and uh, you can go ahead and share your experiences as a form of blog or video content or any article that you might be interested to share with the community. So there also we have 3 categories: Python on Azure, Node.js on Azure, and .NET on Azure. So just in case if you're not very well aware with any of these technologies and you are looking forward to learn, so you can register for the upcoming meetups like this. We'll be having 2 more meetups in our coming time frame. In February we have one, and in March we have one. So you can register so that you will get regular updates on the meetups. So with this, I would thank you all for joining us today, and looking forward to all of you participating in our upcoming events. Thank you all.